Welcome to Universe Live. It's Thursday, September 30th. I'm Katherine Bennett. This time of year, millions of Americans celebrate Christmas, and for many people, it is a religious celebration. But as Universe Live reporter Lisette Vijar found out, the origin of the holiday is not rooted in Christianity. We all know what it feels like to get distracted from time to time, but one group of BYU students deals with distractions and diversions every day of their lives. Experiencing pandemic anxiety, BYU's Counseling and Psychological Services, better known as CAPS, is offering a series of stress management workshops for students. Alta Ski Resort is making changes to their parking to help control the increase in skiers at the resort. Brittany Sam went to Alta to find out more. Sugar plum fairies dance in people's heads with all their holiday favorites, but I found out there's more to holiday recipes than their sugar-induced comas. Seasonal depression, winter blues, or seasonal affective disorder, whatever you call it, it is a challenge that affects nearly 20% of Americans. Southwest Airlines continues to cancel flights out of Salt Lake City. If you feel like your heart is 2 sizes too small going into this Christmas season, you may want to consider booking a stay at the Grinch's Cave. The halls of the Utah Governor's Mansion are officially decked, jolly, and open for tours. It's lunchtime and the Cougaree is filling up with hungry students. Katie Ann is at the Cougaree with some tips of how to skip the long lines and maybe make some extra money. Katie Ann, how is the lunchtime rush? That is such an endearing story. I might have to go adopt a dog this Christmas. Utah Valley Refugees is a local organization that helps carry on these efforts. I had the opportunity to spend some time getting to know Leonard Bagalawa, who began the organization. The first snow has fallen on the mountains, temperatures are dipping below 50, and sweater weather is in full force. Lindsay Biggs finds out whether or not it's the right time or too soon for Christmas music. Before the COVID-19 pandemic hit, researchers at BYU were concerned about another epidemic, loneliness. And I'm Katherine Bennett. Many people know BYU for its fierce football. But over the last year, BYU was recognized worldwide for biomedical chips smaller than the size of a coin. Oh, fun. Okay, I don't think mine's as good as yours, but I have a little Christmas bow. I don't think it works the same as yours, but we'll just
I'm Santa,
leave that there.
and she's the present that comes down your chimney.
Thanks for joining us today for our Universe Live Christmas Magazine show. Eggnog, cookies, pies, and ham, food rings in the holiday season. But do milk and cookies hold some magical power? Maybe.
Katherine Bennett is on BYU campus here to learn from BYU students.
Ever been shocked by something new that you've just learned? The internet is calling this the today years old trend. So I took to BYU campus to see what weird facts and life hacks BYU students had to share. They'll be studying hamstring injuries, how to prevent them, and how to help athletes get back in the game quicker.
Studies from the National Alliance on Mental Illness found that 1 in 6 people ages 6 to 17 in the U.S. experience a mental health disorder, and nearly half of all mental illness begins by age 14.
A creative new game developed by a professor and a psychologist aims at helping children recognize and process their emotions.
Cosmic Battle Training. It's like a Pokemon type game, but it's a space battle where players attack and defend. But the cards are more than just a game. Each card has a cognitive behavioral therapy concept that guides and encourages children in the processing of their feelings.
It was kind of almost a metaphor that kids would enjoy playing and find interesting, helping them, kind of giving a vehicle to be able to think about things and learn some other ways of approaching stuff.
John Cox developed the idea for the game 10 years ago. While working in the outpatient clinic for children and adolescents at the University of Utah, Cox realized he just wasn't satisfied with the tools available.
It is meant to teach children about the concepts of cognitive behavioral therapy.
The game creatively encourages players to attack and create defenses. Yet, at the bottom of each card is a cognitive behavioral therapy concept that ties into the action of the card.
So as they're learning to play the game, they're learning which skills apply to which symptoms.
While the game was created for children struggling with mental health,
my hope was that it would be fun enough and interesting enough that any child would want to play it and enjoy playing it, and that they could benefit from it, whether they're struggling or not.
Cox gave advice on how to help people dealing with mental illnesses, whether young or old.
The foundation is love and acceptance, and if you are able to communicate to somebody that you care about them, you love them, you support them, and you want to be there to listen and to help. That's like the foundation. That's the best thing you can do.
The game Cosmic Battle Training, which took Cox about 10 years to complete, is for sale on Amazon.
With chaos exploding 3 months ago in Afghanistan, people fled to other parts of the world. Governor Cox issued a statement inviting and permitting Afghan refugees to relocate to Utah.
The International Rescue Committee, otherwise known as the IRC, opened its Salt Lake City location in 1994 and has since served 12,000 individuals. Katherine Bennett has the latest on the refugee situation in Utah and what we can do to welcome them.
Every day is quite different.
Natalie is the executive director at IRC, but with the new Afghan refugees,
Been rolling up my sleeves and helping pick up families at airports and deliver goods and set up apartments.
IRC was started at the suggestion of Albert Einstein in 1933 to help those fleeing the Holocaust. Loke, a refugee himself, called Utah the refugee state because of the Saints' persecution from Missouri.
Utah has this really great history that empathizes with refugees.
IRC will be welcoming 600 Afghan refugees and 600 additional refugees in the next fiscal year. IRC has programs set up to help refugees in every step of the relocation process.
And then we've built a suite of programs that help people along the way further on in their journey in building a life here.
So language, culture, but also, a lot of uncertainty, right?
Is what's hardest for many refugees. That's why for IRC, they focus on integration.
There's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of trauma that people have to overcome. And so we are doing our best to help people navigate that one step at a time.
Natalie described the joy it brings to see refugees beginning to end, arriving with nothing versus 5 years later, being able to buy a home, owning a business, and finding financial and emotional stability. Loke is one of these hope-filled stories. Loke's family fled Bhutan to a Nepalese camp where he was born.
My whole life is refugees. To me, it was normal, right? Normal to live in a place where there's no light, there's no running water, right? There's no food enough for you to, eat. There's no safety. That's just the camp.
So while it's illegal for refugees to work in Nepal, people are forced to, but this leads to exploitation.
And I realized that if I wanted to do something in future, in life, living in Nepal in refugee camp will be living in a vacuum. I would never grow.
Finally, in 2011, they had the opportunity to come to America.
Nobody speaks English. I was their interpreter, and it was quite exhausting, I'm not going to lie, emotionally.
His mom was so overwhelmed that just after a couple of days of being resettled,
She was like, let's go back. I think this is really difficult. Let's just go back.
but they didn't give up that easily.
We were very resilient.
Now, 10 years later, they are thriving, but they couldn't have done it without the help of others.
It's a little tiny thing that they did that really changed me in my perceptions, and I really am grateful for those people.
Natalie said the best way Utahns can help refugees is learning the needs of your nearest organization and personally getting to know the refugees.
And these are my people who have lost everything in their life but are willing to give everything to other people. We came here with nothing and we work so hard to be where we're at. We bring courage, we bring resilience, but also we bring a lot of good food, Despite of all the trauma that we've gone through, we still are willing to help other people. We still have this open heart to bring people in our life.
Sugar plum fairies dance in people's heads with all their holiday favorites, but I found out there's more to holiday recipes than their sugar-induced comas. Eggnog, cookies, pies, and ham, food rings in the holiday season. But do milk and cookies hold some magical power? Maybe. But one thing is sure. The memories associated with holiday food bring in a special Christmas spirit. And you can't have the food without a little preparation. In fact, it's the preparation of the food that helps bring family members together to begin with.
As sisters and mom, we get together and we have a girls' baking day for our Christmas Eve.
My mom is literally flying up to Utah just to make these cookies with her cousins, December 18th.
I made this recipe with her 8 times my freshman year.
The foods people get excited for at the holidays are more often than not traditions. In many cases, the tradition reminds and connects them to their heritage through a family recipe.
So this recipe is for pizza de ricotta, and it's the best. It's basically just a traditional family recipe. It's actually my great grandma Nani's. It's something that's really traditional in Italy for like the holiday season. And it's nice because it's just like a simple 5-ingredient recipe. It's basically just like ricotta base, and then it carries in it lots of eggs, sugar, and then the key is like grated chocolate and grated lemons.
While the measurements are written down, the baking time is not.
We've never had a set amount of baking time. It'll be probably between 20 and 30 minutes.
But after 1 hour, then 30 more minutes,
Yeah, no.
then about 30 more minutes.
It's done. Okay. So,
Her great-grandmother immigrated to the U.S. with her parents from Italy when she was 13 years old.
I love just getting to connect with my heritage. It's kind of in a small way allows me to kind of feel close to them. I really didn't know my nanny very well, my great-grandma. She passed away when I was around 5 years old. So I think it's just really special to get to make something that her mom taught her how to make, and it just kind of makes me feel like close to her.
Alyssa's family has carried on their family cookie recipe for an impressive amount of time.
Our ancestor who came over with her 3 little daughters and from Germany. So
Is the one who brought this special German recipe and carried on the tradition even in a new country.
we do German cookies, or they're called like Springela or Springeli, and they kind of come back from our ancestors in Germany from like the 19th century. It's a board and it's like hand carved out of wood, and you just kind of press the board onto your thing of cookies, and there's like maybe 6 or so like little small cookie designs on them.
At other times, the recipe isn't so much what's important as are the memories of it being shared with family and friends.
That's what I did as my Young Women's project.
For Megan Pratt, their Christmas Eve dinner tradition is her favorite part of the holidays. Megan's family spends days preparing family favorite treats for a fancy and fun charcuterie board they make and eat around the Christmas tree.
Call Mamita. Hi, Mom. How are you?
While the recipes themselves may not tie the family to their ancestors,
Did you come up with the recipe?
I didn't make it up. I don't know where it came from.
It's a mystery.
the eating of it does.
My grandpa and grandma, when they were just married, they had literally like a barrel for a table, crackers, cheese, and ham in their fridge. So that was it, and that's all they could eat for Christmas.
Megan's family eats their Christmas Eve charcuterie board in memory of what their grandparents went through to give them the life they have today. But that doesn't mean you can't create your own traditions or add a twist on previous ones.
There's just so many recipes that accumulate and make it part of our tradition, which I find is really cool because we made our own stuff happen. You know what I mean?
Food is a vehicle for people and heritage to reconnect. Maybe this holiday season, you could find some new holiday recipes and traditions to carry on in your family. Reporting for Universe Live, I'm Katherine Bennett.